Thank you for tuning in to our Sectional 12 preview exclusively on the Central Indiana Sports Report. Welcome, high school football fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for our Sectional 12 preview show. Coming up, I'll give you the draw for Sectional 12, along with the top storylines for the sectional that gets underway this week after everybody had a bye last week in Class 5A. Then Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood call leader and I spoke with Kokomo Post sports editor Jay Stevens about what to expect from Sectional 12. And we heard from Kokomo head coach Caleb Small about his first season at Kokomo and taking on South Bend Adams on Friday. Then Michelle and I are joined by Grant Shouse of the Action Sports Network to predict the sectional champion. Please do us a huge favor. If you like this podcast, please share it with a high school football fan in your life. And the easiest thing you can do for us is hit that like button. I know it sounds stupid, but it really does help spread the podcast around, whether it be on YouTube or our podcast hosts. And if you're a fan of Central Indiana sports, I would highly consider subscribing to the Central Indiana Sports Report. Also today, we previewed sectionals 3, 4, 5, 6, and 13 and predicted the champions. We also previewed the sectional semifinals for sectionals 27 and 36. And on Thursday, Michelle, Grant, and I previewed and made our predictions for all of the Week 11 games, the sectional semifinals in Central Indiana. We'll be back on Friday night with our high school football scoreboard show sometime around midnight with all the scores and highlights from around Central Indiana and around the state. Then on Saturday, we will have our part 2 of the scoreboard, the aftermath conversation with local media and coaches about the sectional semifinals. And in sectional 12, the semifinals are 8-1, third-ranked Lafayette Jeff at rival 2-7 McCutcheon. Jeff won 41-0 over the Mavericks on September 5th, the second ever postseason meeting between the two. Jeff also won 41-29 in the 2015 sectional. The Broncos have won 2 of the last 3 sectional championships and are heavy favorites in this one. Their only loss this year was their season opener, 35-28 to 4A number 3 Chittard. McCutcheon has lost 5 straight after a 2-2 start. In the other half of the bracket, it's 3-6 Kokomo at 4-5 South Bend Adams. First ever meeting between the two schools. Kokomo has actually won 4 sectionals in the last 10 years, the last one coming in 2022. In their first year under head coach Caleb Small, the Wildcats have won 3 of their last 5 games after an 0-4 start. Adams has won 2 of its last 3 and has been pretty competitive all year against a pretty tough schedule. Please stay tuned for Jay Stevens of the Kokomo Post, followed by Kokomo head coach Caleb Small. Then Michelle and Grant and I will be back to make our sectional championship predictions. As we continue our preview of sectional 12, we are joined by Kokomo Post sports editor Jay Stevens here to talk about the Wildcats and the initial season for Caleb Small. And Jay, there were some rough patches, but it seems like Coach Small's starting to get things figured out there.
He is starting to figure some things out. It definitely helped when he was able to get the 2 quarterbacks, that's 2 QB system, to start playing at the same time. And defensively, they've had their decent moments in the last half of the season. But offensively, when they are clicking, they're really hard to slow down.
He said that he thought that the bye was very beneficial for him because it allowed him to kind of reset some things. And now I figured first year coach in there, his system, which is so very different than what Kokomo is used to. And because of the injuries, they probably are one team that looked forward to the bye and probably really did benefit from it.
Oh, definitely. And his experience at schools like Ben Davis and I believe Noblesville, where you're going to get that bye being a 6-8 previously, that helped him already have a plan for how to prepare for the Week 9 game against Richmond and then have that off week and then play again, it helps you to have that previous experience. Because if he didn't have that experience, he could have a plan, but maybe he wouldn't be sure if it would be the right one for the team, where he's been able to do this for years and he knows this is how you plan right now at the end of the regular season for a bye week, and then you go back and you get after it when sectionals begin.
Jay, what do you see in the improvements that Kokomo's made that could help them find some success in the sectional?
Luke Callaway, being able to see him, one of the two quarterbacks that they use. But I got to see him play Week 9 against Richmond, and his ability to just follow what Taylor Small needs from him, not get outside of himself or not try to be a hero, but simply just follow the game plan, the blueprint that the head coach has for the day. And he threw 5 touchdown passes. Now, Richmond's not that good. I'm not saying Richmond's one of the better defenses that Kokomo played this year. But even still, you got a guy that's getting his feet wet, still pretty green, still pretty new to this brand of football, and he is stepping up in a big way. They still use Trey Gamble quite a bit. When I saw him, Gamble was only the running quarterback. Callaway made all the passes. But I believe their 2 QB system works for this team, and they have gotten behind it. They are confident in what they are doing offensively, and they're ready to head to South Bend and play on Halloween night.
So the good news is they did not draw Jeff, so they've got a chance here to make a run into the sectional championship game. But, the kind of season Kokomo's had, Adams is not a team you can take lightly.
No, they're not. They're not a team you can take lightly. But I think, I'll be crazy, even if this is a close game, I could see Kokomo having enough firepower and enough continuity offensively to pull it out.
And a few weeks ago, they lost to Jeff. It was not a close game, but also fairly competitive. And, second chance is somebody that, let's just say it's not out of the question that they could win this.
That's a big statement.
You never know. How about that?
You never know. They'll have to play the game of their lives to pull that one off. And it's not saying Kokomo's not talented. It's just Jeff is rolling in a way right now that I don't see many teams in 5A slowing them down.
Yeah, I think that's a team headed for their first regional championship ever. Jay, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
No problem. I enjoyed it.
As we continue our preview of Sectional 12, we welcome in Kokomo head coach Caleb Small, whose Wildcats take on South Bend Adams on Friday. Coach, you've gotten through your first regular season. Your thoughts on your first at Kokomo?
Well, first of all, everyone's been real supportive. Obviously it's not been exactly what we pictured it to be with the 3-6 record, but we've learned a lot of valuable lessons throughout the regular season, and as we've said all year, Week 10 is what matters most. And so we're here, and we had a really good bye week, and we're excited. We're excited for the trip up to South Bend.
Caleb, I know a lot of times people don't necessarily like to have buys because if you have momentum, it takes it away. But for you, is it all the extra time since this is your first year with Kokomo and in a conference weren't real familiar with some opponents, was that extra week really nice for you and your kids as far as just being able to teach more things and not just have to game prepare for 2 weeks?
For us, it was like a reset button, and we were able to do that kind of with our whole roster, sit down as a staff, and really just went through it A to Z, exactly what it needs to look like and what we need to do in order to make a tournament run. And our staff's been really good all year, but in particular in the bye week, I thought they came alive, just as far as their energy, and our kids responded to that. And we had a really productive bye week. I've seen it go kind of both ways in different places, and for us, it was really productive, and we're seeing the fruits of the labor this week, and we've had a really good practice to back it up. So I think it was really good for us just to be able to take a deep breath, get a couple guys a little healthier, and for our staff to take a deep breath too, and just really dive into the kids. And it's showing right now in practice as far as this week's going.
Okay, and so what are the keys for you guys to come out with a win on Friday night?
Well, we got to stop the run. They kind of old school or traditional, like I-back type of team in which they're going to hand the tailback, which is their best player. They're going to hand it to him until we stop it. And so, we know that going in, and it's going to be, not an easy task at hand, but Coach Spear's done a good job all year getting us ready to stop the run. And I don't expect any less this week. And so, defensively, we know that's the case. We got to make them throw it, make the quarterback beat us. And then offensively, they've got a unique scheme that we've not necessarily seen all year. And so some things that we're going to do offensively look different than what it's looked like all year. And so for our kids who had to put in a lot of time in film and just in the learning stages of a new scheme and how to attack it, we're going to have to take what the defense gives us, just like we always do, philosophically. But we got to find a way to run the ball versus the light box, and then conversely, we got to throw the ball once we have success and they get more people in there. And so, that's kind of what we've been practicing the last couple and a half.
Coach, I know Adams has been a program that's struggled through the years, but this has been a pretty good Adams team that seems to be on the rise.
Coach does a great job, and number one, he's unique in that they do some things that we've not seen as far as schematics go. But more importantly, the first thing that I did was trying to take a deep dive into, where his ties are and where he's from and what he knows. Number one, he's from there, and so he takes a great deal of pride in South Bend Adams football. And so he obviously has kind of brought back a good energy and a good vibe that you can tell just based on interviews that we've researched throughout the last couple of weeks. Just listening to his positive nature and the kids buying into his program and how he runs things. And then he was a Cathedral assistant for a couple of years. And so, anyone who's coached under Coach Peebles knows what it's supposed to look like. That was one of the first things that I tried to figure out is who is he, who'd he learn from type of thing, who are his mentors. And being a young guy, I knew he had to have some good ones. Finding out that he was on the Cathedral staff, it didn't bring any surprise to me to see how they run things as a program. And he's doing a really good job getting kids to buy in, and he's got a staff that's bought in, and they play with a lot of energy, and they play hard, and they're tough to beat.
Last question I would have for you, Caleb, is in what area of your team do you think you've seen the most growth over the course of this season?
I would definitely say in our offensive line, we struggled early. We struggled pretty bad early, and the last couple of weeks, we've seen a lot of success on the offensive line that, watching some young guys finally get some flight hours underneath of them. Well, I think, we're going to return 6 of our top 7 linemen. And so, that's a good thing, down the road. But for our growing pains throughout the season, it's been tough. And those guys have been challenged all year, and they're playing at a higher level right now than they have all year. And that's, I commend our O-line coaches and Coach Foes and Coach O'Brien and Coach Dillon that, they kind of stayed the course with them. And they're really positive leaders for those kids, but they also drive them every day. And you can tell their improvement's gonna help us offensively throughout the tournament.
Has your team gotten healthier throughout the season, Coach?
Yeah, tremendously. We've had a couple of guys go down for the year, but we throughout the season we've became kind of the team that I thought we would be, initially, to be honest with you. And that's not a knock on anyone who was playing early or any of the injuries in which we had, but our best players weren't necessarily playing early, and then it takes time to get them get them in a game like situation, and they got to get game reps after they've missed 4 or 5 weeks. And so our best players are playing at their highest level right now, which is really important to us coming in the tournament time. And then, our quarterback play, Luke Callaway's kind of taking that role as far as the amount of reps he's getting in a game, kind of outweighing what Trey Gamble's getting currently. But they both serve a purpose for us. They're both going to play on Friday night. Those guys have really gotten better in the last 5 weeks. And so, we're a quarterback-driven offense, and we need our quarterback to play well. That helps when your O-line's healthier and more mature, and that helps when your best skill players are playing. And so we feel like going into the tournament, we're playing our best football that we have had.
And Coach, been a rough season at times, but you're just 2 wins away from a sectional championship.
That's right. We go on the road. We got to handle the trip better than we did when we went to Monrovia. It's kind of the way that I've looked at this week is kind of similar to Monrovia. They were, it's almost 2 hours once you get there, and once you get on the bus and get off the bus and get there and get settled in. So, we got to handle the trip better than we did early in the season, which I think we will. And we probably play. We're going to play a familiar foe if anybody. We're going to play Lafayette or Lafayette Jeff or McCutcheon in the final if we get the opportunity to play in it. And neither team, neither program is going to be easy to beat by any means, but they're a familiar foe, and we would be at home if we're able to get this one.
Back here with Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader, and Grant Shouse of the Action Sports Network, here to make our championship prediction for Sectional 12. We heard, of course, from the Kokomo Post's Jay Stevens and Kokomo head coach Caleb Small on the Kokomo game on Friday. But, Michelle, this is Jeff's sectional to win, isn't it?
It's Jeff's sectional to lose, meaning
That's right. Jeff is going to win the sectional, right?
Yes, unless they suffer a devastating injury or two, or they just come out and lay an egg. I mean, to me, there's no doubt that they are the best team in this section.
It would take a poor performance and lots of turnovers.
I saw enough of Lafayette Jeff against Marion a few weeks ago that even with 1 or 2 devastating injuries, it's not going to matter. They're just so good.
I mentioned this in our picks for Week 11. I also think Jeff is going to win their first regional championship ever in a couple of weeks. Thanks so much to Grant and Michelle for being so giving of their time. And thanks so much to Jay Stevens of the Kokomo Post and Kokomo head coach Caleb Small for joining us. 2 of our favorites. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget, we also have previews of sectional 3, 4, 5, 6, 13, 27, and 36. Please go check those out. Also on Thursday, Grant, Michelle, and I made our predictions for all of the Week 11 games, the sectional semifinals in Central Indiana. And on Friday night, please join us for our high school football scoreboard show, where we will go over all the scores and highlights from around Central Indiana and the best games from around the state. Please do us a huge favor and share this podcast with a high school football fan in your life and help spread the word that the Central Indiana Sports Report is out there talking about Central Indiana sports every single day. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. I love Susie.